Hi, Khalid.
Hi, Mandy. How are
Here we
you?
are again. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you.
Yes, glad to hear it.
Here to talk about the
Yes.
moon. So the moon in the earth signs on
Mm,
this video. So we're talking about the moon in Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn.
mhm,
And yeah, so the moon is exalted in Taurus. The
mhm.
moon really likes being in Taurus.
Yes.
And the moon, and we had a new moon about a week ago in
Mm,
Taurus.
mm,
And Taurus likes having the moon as a guest in that
mhm.
side. It's all very, very kind of compatible.
Yeah.
So this is good.
Mm,
So yeah, I mean, obviously, the moon as opposed to the sun, like to me, the moon is very kind of subconscious and the moon is very kind of instinctual, and I just feel that when the moon is there in Taurus, it kind of, it just instinct. That was my dog sneezing, by the way. My dog's got
mhm.
hay fever. But yeah, so no, I just feel that when the moon is in Taurus, just or if a person has a Taurus moon, just subconsciously they are tuned into their environment and tuned into kind of just walking into a place and feeling good without necessarily having to analyze it or anything.
Mhm, mhm,
I just kind of feel it's a bit of a mood changer,
mm,
really, for the moon to be in Taurus. Um,
mm,
I just feel if they come into contact with kind of things that they like, like
mm.
a nice environment, a nice smell, like music they like, all of that, all those sensual things, they just feel good.
Mhm.
I just think with the moon being a trigger as well,
Yeah.
I just kind of like feel perhaps a person with a Taurus moon is quite easily, is maybe quite an easy person to buy presents for.
Mm.
If you kind of like know what they like, if you know what they like eating, or what they like listening to, or what they
Eh,
like touching, or whatever, or tasting, I just feel that they can be quite easily pleased. And I don't mean that in
mhm.
a cheap way. I just mean it's in a very instinctual
That
kind of way.
they'd be grateful for a gift that appeals.
Yeah, and I think it would be genuinely grateful rather
Yeah,
than
yeah.
sort of, I need to kind of be polite and show my appreciation here. I just feel they would react
Do you feel like
instinctively.
they'd lean more towards gifts of a kind of um a material or sensual kind of appeal?
Definitely.
Okay.
I just imagine them on their birthday or Christmas Day. If they
Mm.
open up something that they like, it will just be it will just be a really obvious kind of like natural reaction to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I would imagine they are a pleasure to buy things for
Yeah,
people with
yeah.
a moon in Taurus.
Do you think there is a connection between like Taurus as a sign of material and environmental security and the personality of the moon, as it's understood in classical astrology?
With the security thing,
Security, like,
I don't know what it's. I don't know. Is that more Cancer? I'm not sure. I'm not
right.
sure. Or
Do you
maybe
think
they
it's,
both got a little bit of that. I definitely
yeah,
kind. Yeah.
I think, well, I think I might have mentioned this in the last video we recorded, where we talked about the sun and the water signs. Um, but I think um, that the moon is considered exalted or in a good place right?
Yes.
And in a place where it's very comfortable in Taurus, because Taurus gives it a sense of security, stability, you know?
Yes.
And that is what it craves by its nature, according to the classical astrologers, you know? And to me, it makes sense, because you can have, there's some like emotional ties that can make you feel secure.
Yes.
For example, family ties, parent-child ties, even ties with, a significant other, who's very nurturing, giving. And then there's also the material security, for example, of stable finances,
Mm.
of a comfortable home,
Oh, yeah.
right? If you're in tune with the natural environment, a nice kind of natural environment to
I
surround
think
you
it's
and make you feel
nice.
comfortable.
I
Yeah,
think it's nice that they believe it's nice. It doesn't matter whether, and you would believe their home was nice, but they
yeah,
know they love it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's all that is important.
Mm.
Yeah,
One
they're
thing I,
not doing it to impress
yeah,
anybody else. It's,
yeah.
yeah,
One thing I hear about people with strong influence from both Cancer, the sign that the moon rules, and Taurus, is that they both like food a lot, and they like staying indoors quite a bit.
yeah,
They're very indoorsy kind of people. They don't mind
yeah,
spending long hours at home.
yes.
You know?
I
So
would imagine
yeah.
it's quite nice to have a Taurus moon,
Mm.
actually.
Yeah.
I would actually, I don't know. I don't specifically know anyone that kind of goes around saying I love my Taurus moon, but but I
Yeah.
can't. It just seems like a very, very sort of lovely sort of combination. The
Yes.
Taurus, yeah, yeah and also I feel like when they're buying a house or something,
Yeah.
they would literally just walk into a place and just know, like I would, like you get those people that are very good at having a vision
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, I can imagine myself living in this house, because if I lived here, I would knock that down there and I would put my sofa over there, and they would just kind of absolutely instinctively know what that house would be like once they had it, and they could do it. Whereas I remember when I was like looking for a house, I had no imagination about it at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could only see what was like literally physically there in front of me. But I would imagine that the Taurus moon would have that instinctive ability to kind of, if they felt that house was right, I
Yes.
think they'd get it. I think they'd get the whole what it was going to be like as well once they got their
Yeah.
hands on it.
Yeah. I also I also imagine that it would be very okay. It would be very relieving, very calming for someone with a Taurus moon to be in uh, a financially stable situation all the
Yes.
time. I think compared to people with other moon placements, they might be less comfortable with disruptions in the state of their finances, you know,
Yeah,
because
they're
that's,
probably quite careful with money without having to sort of try too hard. They just instinctively, I think they would just instinctively budget pretty well.
yeah, I don't think they'd risk, I do think they would enjoy luxury,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
That's,
yes.
yeah, we'd have to, I think we should keep in mind the connection between Taurus and Venus,
Yes.
planet Venus is the planet of beauty and luxury, and Venus rules Taurus, right?
And
Um,
imagine if you had, I don't want to deviate too much, but imagine if you had a Taurus moon and you had Venus in Taurus as well, what your house would be like.
oh
My
wow.
God.
Yes,
God.
yes, it would be very adorned, and probably I would have a lot of plants. you know, which is something
Yes.
very different from my
And
personality.
maybe it would be a very eco-friendly kind of place as well.
Mm,
You know.
yeah. Yes. Yeah, definitely decorated, beautiful, um, comfortable, neat.
Yes.
Yes. That would make me even more of a homebody, you know?
Oh yeah.
I imagine, yes. Yeah.
Yes. And that probably would be where a lot of your money was spent on your home.
Yes,
I would
definitely.
imagine. I
And
would.
I don't think that they would be inclined to spend a lot on trips that aren't necessary, for example.
Yes.
Not as
If
much
it
as
was, yes, if
spending.
it was a toss up between kind of getting a new kitchen or going on I don't know, like a holiday to Las Vegas, it would definitely be the new kitchen, I reckon,
Yes,
with a Taurus
I
moon.
agree. That really makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
but please, if you are a Taurus moon and everything we're saying is rubbish, please, please, please leave a message, right?
Yes, yes, I do
And yeah,
appreciate that.
but that is definitely my feeling about a Taurus moon.
Yeah.
Would you like to have a Taurus moon person as a partner?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, in general, I definitely need more earth in my life, I should say. I
Yeah.
definitely, in my personality, I mean, there's hardly any earth in my chart, aside from my Capricorn rising, um, which in my case doesn't manifest in a natural kind of attraction to nature. Not for the most part, I should say.
Taurus, I think, is more nature orientated than Capricorn, even though they're both earth signs.
I think
Mm.
so. I think it's safe to, yeah, I think it's safe to say that. Um, I think Capricorn is more oriented toward kind of work, like
Mm.
earthiness in a material sense, maybe.
I think a Taurus moon would make a great mother
Mm?
and probably a great
Interesting.
wife. I think you'd come home to lovely meals and all that sort of thing, wouldn't you? Like,
Yes, 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 absolutely.
yeah.
Mm.
Would they make a good partner? I think as long as they had nothing was afflicted or nothing bad was kind of connected with it, because they could be quite suffocating on the downside.
Mm.
But in theory, in isolation, the moon is very, very welcome in Taurus. The moon is in a good place in Taurus. So as long as there was nothing bad kind of
Yeah,
in connection with it, I would think a Taurus moon person would be a fantastic host, a fantastic mother, a fantastic wife or partner in that sort of nurturing sense of the word. And if they did have something connected with it in a bad way, I think the danger might be that they're quite suffocating. It'd be like too much.
yes, yeah.
But
Maybe too much focus on kind of
or too much of a good,
boundaries, you know.
too much of
Yeah,
a good thing. Not yeah,
yeah.
not kind of knowing when, you know,
Mm.
chocolate is nice, but don't keep giving your child too much of it,
Right,
kind
right.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anything else about the Taurus moon that kind of springs to mind that you feel needs to be said?
Well, there's that kind of there's the fixity of Taurus, which
Yes.
gives them perseverance and strength, but not in a kind of not showy, but in a kind of very obvious way, or not in an outwardly projected way. I think this might have to do with Earth being a feminine element.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, when you read about Taurians or hear people talk about Taurus natives, they often say that they're very reliable,
Yes.
and their their moods are not changeable, right? I mean, they're not unpredictable,
No.
and they like routine,
Yes.
um, and they they will work hard as long as that work is necessary for them to maintain the level of comfort that they're used to.
Yeah, I would agree. Just instinctively reliable, dependable, in it for the long haul.
Yeah,
They're not kind of one night standers or anything like that. You know, it's
right,
definitely kind of long term. And
right.
yeah, I think the plus side is quite huge with the Taurus moon, if I'm honest. So
Yes, qualities kind of unfold on a kind of instinctual level, on a
yes.
personal, on the level of maybe interpersonal relationships.
Mm.
Um, I think that would be really nice,
Yeah,
actually.
I
I
just
think
think as
that,
long as the chemistry was there,
yes,
it could be an absolutely sort of marvelous person to spend your life with, really. You know, they would definitely kind of pull their weight, and they would definitely make sure everything was kind of as lovely as possible. So, yeah. So, moving on to the Virgo moon.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Okay, so obviously another earth sign, but different vibe with the Virgo, because Virgo, whereas the Taurus moon is very fixed energy, the Virgo moon is this mutable energy. So it is changeable and versatile, and it's kind of more about little details. I feel the Taurus is very kind of long term,
Mhm.
whereas the Virgo is more kind of like, I think that, yeah, the Taurus is kind of more looking at the bigger, more long term picture. It's just instinctively nurturing and kind of laying down roots. Whereas I kind of like feel the Virgo is more in the moment. It's more day to day,
Mm.
more day to day, practical, but definitely kind of very, very kind of knowing
Mm.
instinctively how to handle all sorts of everyday situations that
Yeah,
I would say very spontaneously,
yeah,
and
that makes sense.
probably very good at multitasking.
Hmm. Yes, actually, all the Sun and Virgo people that I know um, are very skilled at paying attention to details and organizing their environments in ways that fit,
Yeah.
their vision of what's proper and neat, you know. Um, and they're very good at multitasking as well. So
Yes.
if I guess if I mean if that is operating also at the level of instinct, yeah, that's
I
that's
think the Virgo moon would instinctively know what to prioritize
mhm,
and what to kind of leave for another day,
yeah,
and also like just how much they need to do that is necessary before they move on to something else, and they'll do a bit of that and do whatever is necessary there, and they will just instinctively kind of do that and maybe jump from one thing to another. I'm
yeah,
inclined to think if you went into a Virgo person's house, it would be a very different scenario to a Taurus person's house.
mm,
I think it would just be much more, what's the word? Utilitarian, have I said that word right? What is
mm,
necessary?
that's interesting. Okay. Mm, mm, mm.
I just feel they would buy something on the spur of the moment because they think, oh, that would be useful. That means I could do that more efficiently and more quickly. So I
Yeah,
kind of like feel they would have maybe lots of little gadgets and things, possibly,
yeah,
but that they would use. That they would definitely use, but I don't think they would be so fussed about being neat and tidy and putting everything away and having it all kind of like comfortable. I'm not saying they would live in an absolute mess, but I just don't think that their main focus is the same as a Taurus moon's focus.
mm. There's just,
It'd be
I
clean,
think
very
maybe,
clean.
I think I think probably would still be important for a moon and Virgo person to have things neat and organized, because without organization, and I'm not
Yes.
talking about a high level of decoration or like, you
No,
know,
it's the comfort
luxury and
thing. The
no,
comfort thing wouldn't be this on the same level.
yeah, that's how I feel. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like they wouldn't need to have a really plush bed, you know, or a really expensive TV, or a really, yeah, a really, you know, high quality wood dining table, you know.
No.
Things
But
would,
it would
I
be
do
very
think,
functional.
I do think things would need to be arranged, um, well, in a way that isn't aesthetically discordant, let's say, and also in a way that is efficient. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
efficiency, I think, is what I'm.
It's
Yeah,
efficiency over comfort. It's
yes,
more
efficiency over comfort.
is more of the instinctive kind of
Yeah,
priority.
yeah, and I
So if
think.
you were buying a present for
Mm,
a Virgo moon person,
ah,
as opposed to a Taurus moon person, what
ah,
kind of what kind of thing are you likely to go for?
that's an. I, it's a challenging question for me because I never know what to get people for presents. Like I always end up buying generic things.
All right.
You know.
You bought me
That's
some good presents.
that's true. I mean, I can say that's true. I mean, I'm glad that that you like them.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm more a Virgo person. Somebody would help them organize things.
Yes.
Maybe a really nice planner, you know, if they're the type that uses planners,
Yes.
or
Or some sort of
kind
efficient
of like
gadget. I
an
kind of
efficient gadget. I was
maybe a sort of, I don't know, just some little machine where you can sort of like sterilize all your toothbrushes, right? Or something like that. I don't know. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
they'd
yeah,
really
yeah.
like that. Whereas for the Taurus person, I kind of want to buy them a nice cushion or a nice throw or a picture for the wall. It's
Yes,
just different, isn't it? It's like, you know,
yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, it depends. Like if they have pets, like I might think of getting them, for example, an automatic feeder, for example, right?
right, okay, yes,
That'll just like keep the food, you know, just coming down neatly, you know, or just like kind of um, something with a symmetrical, like if it's decorative, it'll have like a nice symmetry, you know.
I
Something
think it
definitely
needs
that
to
has a
have a
function.
use.
Yeah.
I think to be truly appreciated by the Virgo person, I think it needs to have a use
Yes,
rather than being decorative.
I agree. I agree. Yes, absolutely. So
That's what,
if
yeah,
it's something they need in their home to complete all the functions they need to cover, right?
yeah,
That is something that I would look for. Like I'd step into their home and look for anything they might actually need,
yes,
and then go get that.
yes. It's a need rather than, yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of think they'd particularly like it if there was some little thing that you could buy them that would be useful, that means that they could be even more helpful to other people because they've got this thing.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I think
Right.
Virgos also like to help other people as well as
They
themselves. So,
do. Yeah, and I don't
yeah,
imagine that yeah, I don't think they're inclined to wasting. I don't think they're inclined
yeah,
to wasting things.
yes. Who do
Right.
you think would be easier to live with? The person with the Virgo or the Taurus moon?
No, I would definitely say the Taurus. Yeah.
But then,
Uh,
if you were a bit of a useless person and you needed someone that was useful, probably the Virgo moon. Like, the Taurus would make you feel comfortable, but the Virgo moon person would attend to your every need, wouldn't they? Like,
I'm just speaking from like just a personal perspective, and maybe for other people like with more who are more like detail oriented and very concerned about organizing their environment.
yeah,
I'm more relaxed. about organizing the environment. I'm not like a slob, thank God,
Right.
but I think I would be stressed out like if I was living with someone who was always insisting on things being in a particular order, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I feel like, okay, so I think, okay, there is that efficiency dimension, but there is something also about Virgo energy, which is about I want my environment to match the image I have in my head, right? And I think that's where the intellectual part of Mercury, the traditional ruler of Virgo, comes in. Um, it can be it's just that they might have like very particular tastes, right? Or a very particular imagination of what their schedule should be during the day, or like how the living room should be arranged, or how the closet space should be utilized, etc. And they can get very particular about all of that. I think that might be a point of stress for me because I'm more laid back
Do
about
you
it.
see a notable difference between a person with a sun in Virgo and a moon in Virgo?
I think someone with a sun in Virgo, but first of all, that kind of theme would be that level of perfectionism would be something that they're developing, they're working on developing throughout their lives. And it would be something that guides their life choices on a more conscious level. So it could be more consequential for um, the type of home they end up buying, the type of person they end up
On
marrying,
bigger decisions,
the type
yeah.
of job they end up actually taking, right? That might take a priority. I think for Virgo moon, there would be an impulse, a powerful impulse,
Yes,
to set in order the more immediate environment.
yes. So those
Yeah.
impulses
The environment,
and
yeah.
those impulses that they have could, because they do it instinctively without thinking, they will just do it. They will just pick on some little detail and
Yeah.
maybe be a little bit critical of it, or a little bit like, they might come around to your house or something and see something out of place and just without thinking about it, like, have to put it back where they think it should go. They could be, without intentionally trying, quite irritating, the
Yeah.
Virgo moon.
Yes.
Whereas
Yeah.
I feel the Taurus moon would just be more about their own home comforts.
Yeah. It's really funny that you mentioned that word because I have a few Virgo friends who have commented on like who've described the typical Virgo personality as being kind of stressful, stress causing, and it's kind of constant focus on detail and it's constant attention to what's missing from the picture, you
Yeah.
know, or what's messing up the picture, you know. So so that's from Virgos, not from me. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you just reminded me when you said that
Yeah.
the irritation. Yeah.
So the moon in Virgo has no dignity, meaning it's neither got the positive dignity of being where it's kind of where it rules or where it's exalted, or where it's kind of in detriment or fall, like where it's considered to be not so good. It's kind of neutral
Right.
in Virgo. So
Mm-hmm.
it could go either way, I think, having a Virgo moon, just taking that out of context and in isolation.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the last of the earth signs, the moon in Capricorn.
Mm.
So, and that big earth sign of Capricorn, which is all about ambition and success, and and kind of like what you are known for in the world. Like it's the much bigger picture.
Mm.
So if somebody has their moon there, I would say a person who has got a Capricorn moon will succeed in the thing that kind of feels right for them. I just feel that the Capricorn moon has something genuine about it. If someone has achieved success or is on the road to success and they've got a Capricorn moon, I think they're following something that is subconsciously in their kind of like heart to kind of like do it. They're not just kind of like after the money or the power. I just feel that I'm going to absolutely try and be the best I can possibly be at this thing that I believe that I am. This thing I feel that I'm supposed to be doing this. I feel like it's calling.
Yeah,
I feel like if you were going to be like, say, a nurse or something like that, and you had a Capricorn moon, you would have some level of ambition about it. You don't just want to be a nurse because that's your calling in life. You want to be a high level nurse so that more people are helped because of the position you are in, if that makes sense.
So it wouldn't necessarily kind of make you consciously an ambitious person, like to the point where, you know, you want to be socially prominent and you want to make a lot of money, you know, and you want to be
I just think maybe you want to be successful because you actually totally believe in your gut instinct, sort of totally believes in the I don't think it's successful for the sake of power or money or fame. I think it's success because you understand that whatever is the thing that you're doing or that you're believing in, there will be a benefit to the greater good and more people. You know, if you are successful in it, you can reach more people. I feel there's a bit more of a sort of a selflessness in that Capricorn ambitious thing if your moon was in Capricorn rather than your sun. I don't know, that I could be again wrong, but there's something gentler about it having a moon in Capricorn than a sun in Capricorn. It's got a feminine nurturing quality about it, but it's still got all the success thing going on.
I agree with that. I also think I know two people with their moons in Capricorn, and they're both not very good at explaining how they're feeling, at expressing it, and being kind of open about how they're feeling. It's always like kind of like they keep that in the background by default.
That's interesting.
It is, and I think actually looking at the classical distribution of dignities, as you said, so the moon rules Cancer, and Cancer lies opposite Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, right? And so when the moon is in Capricorn, it would be described, you know, by the late Greek astrologers and onward, as being in detriment. So where it is not comfortable. Okay, awkward, I would say. Okay.
Well, I suppose ambition and nurturing or whatever.
I'm talking about emotion because so if you look at Saturn and Moon as kind of very contrasting kind of energies or personalities. Saturn is the most impersonal of all the traditional 7 planets, right? It's the least concerned with what is satisfying to the individual on a subjective level, right? So even in the sign of Capricorn, which is a very ambitious sign, as you said, that ambition would be very much in sync with conventional understandings of success. Okay, so it wouldn't be success at a kind of, let's say, a field of literary studies that is just emerging, that doesn't have much recognition and wouldn't earn you a lot of money, you know? And in Aquarius, we know that Saturn also rules Aquarius. There's that kind of humanitarian kind of inclination, looking at what's better for the community, right? The moon is very much about looking after the self, right? And feeding your subjectivity in a way that makes you feel more secure, more comfortable in yourself, you know? And that's why like moon and Cancer people are said to be very much in touch with their feelings and you know, very, very fluent in expressing their feelings, right? So the traditional interpretation of the moon being in so-called detriment in Capricorn is that moon Capricorn people aren't very good at expressing how they're feeling and at managing their emotions, and their emotions kind of often often jar against their conscious sense of self. So like
So
often
do
they
you
find
think they've got like perhaps an instinctual kind of uncomfortableness about success? So they might be successful, they might be ambitious, but do they feel a guilt about it in a way, or perhaps I
no,
don't
not necessarily
know.
that. I'm just sticking with like the more emotional side. I feel like they wouldn't be as fluent in expressing themselves in an emotional language, right? So they would feel safer. I think they would feel safer expressing their needs in a more practical way, right? Like, and maybe they'd be less likely to kind of, when they're hurt or injured, they'd be less likely to show that, you know? They'd be more protective over their sense of hurt because it's just difficult for them to express, you know, deep and complicated emotions, right? I'm not saying that they don't have them. I'm just saying that like
So do
compared
you
to other
think,
homes,
okay, so
more
you
difficult to
know,
express.
if do you think someone who was successful in their life, they were a Capricorn, but they had a Capricorn moon, what kind of a boss do you think they would be? Do you think they would be a boss that would be difficult to talk to, or do you think they would, you know, would they be quite tough and quite hard, would you say, or would, you know, to
I think
communicate with?
they might be worrying about how things are going when there's no need to worry.
I actually still feel they still have got the moon there up in that sign. So I still feel that on the inside, even if on the outside or the way they express or emote might be quite heavy going, I still feel that they are actually kind of decent on the inside, having a moon in Capricorn.
Yeah, I think Capricorn is a sign that really respects social like okay social definitions of morality, propriety, boundaries, you know, respecting others, and also respecting hierarchy, you know. And that's not necessarily a good thing in itself, but it just like, of course, it enables the individual to move in society more easily than a rebel, right? So
Yeah.
someone with the moon in Capricorn would instinctively know how to fit within hierarchical social structures.
Yeah, but do you
You know?
think they would be ruthless? I mean, do you think they would be kind of, say they were a politician, right? And obviously some politicians are truly trying to do the best for everybody, and they have to make some sort of uncomfortable decisions, but it's for the greater good. You know, it's almost like a lose-lose situation being a politician. You're never going to please everybody. But do you think say a politician with a Capricorn moon is more likely to be after their own sort of winning of an election, or they're actually trying to do the right thing for the majority of the people? I'm just thinking the fact that it's the moon in Capricorn, even though it's uncomfortable there, I still think their heart is in the right place, even though it's very uncomfortable and they're going to have to let some people down. I kind of don't think they're just in it for winning the next election. That maybe I'm just being too nice, but I've got a little bit of faith in the Capricorn moon, even though I know it struggles.
They definitely set high standards of performance for themselves.
Yes.
They're not likely to take things for granted, and they're not likely to think or assume that they deserve things that they don't work for.
Yes.
My angle is that just emotionally they might find difficulty just dealing with emotions, because emotions, they're very much about being, focused inwards and in a subjective realm that is, or that can be pretty removed, even detached from practical, tangible realities, so that's where I was coming. That's where I was coming from, and kind of contextualizing this whole discussion within the dignities, of the moon in Cancer versus in Capricorn, and the contrasting energies of the moon and Saturn, but no, I don't see them I don't see the moon as making them selfish.
No, I don't think so.
I don't see it as making them selfish.
No, I don't.
I see it as making them kind of more inclined to worry, even
Right.
about their own accomplishments, and whether or not they meet their own standards, right?
And their own ethics or whatever.
Their own ethics,
yeah. I just see that Capricorn moon as being very, very different from the Taurus moon. Like it's, even though they're both Earth moons, I really, the feeling of it is very different to me. And interestingly, I think the Virgo moon is nearer to the Taurus moon, I think, but it is somewhere in between the two. That's how it just feels to me. Wow, that was an interesting one.